we're working with you, and as much as you can stand us.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Why don't you say a few words to everybody, tell them a little bit about it.
Before we get started, could you just introduce yourself to the crowd here, Nick? Everybody's looking at you.
So, I've talked to some of you guys already. My name's Nick Hanssen. Basically, thank you guys all for coming here. It means a lot, because I know some of you guys had to travel a little bit. I think you said from southern Alabama or Mobile. So, I just really appreciate it. It does mean a lot. And so I'm just going to introduce myself and talk about a little bit of what I like. So basically, I got my, I knew I wanted to be a pilot pretty much ever since I was a kid. My grandpa had a really big influence on me. So he, just growing up around him, and every time I would see him and stuff, he'd always talk about all his stories he would have and all of his experience that went along with what he did. So when he was 16, he got his pilot's license back in, I believe it was Wichita, I believe. And after that, he wasn't really pursuing a career in aviation at the time, so he decided to join the Coast Guard as an A&P mechanic. So he spent a little bit of his time working a lot on the different aircraft that they all have there. And then after that, once he got out, he met my grandmother in the Virgin Islands in St. Thomas, so he decided to stay there, and then he created his own airline company, so they basically do island hopping, and then so he ran that business for about 30 years or so. I think he was the head captain, and my grandmother was the, I'm trying to think of the word, she was like the basically second in charge of the whole airline. And so that was really cool. That was like a big inspiration to me, pretty much, because it's just I just kind of want to do what he did. So, and then after that, so basically when I was about 12 or so, I joined the Civil Air Patrol because I was trying to pursue aviation still, and they have a lot of opportunities with all their programs. They have like flight academies. They do orientation flights for the cadets and stuff. And then around the same time, my mom told me about the National Flight Academy in Pensacola because she works for Navy Federal, and they announced that they were doing the scholarships for it. So that sounded really cool to me. So I decided to try to get one of those scholarships. I believe it was FedEx or someone for that. I'm not really sure. But so you just had to like kind of write a bunch of essays and stuff, and then they'll see if you qualify. So I ended up qualifying, and then I went to the National Flight Academy, and that was really cool. It's a lot of STEM and a lot of hands-on stuff, which is as like a 12 or 13-year-old, that's pretty much as good as it gets with all their really cool simulators and stuff. Just being a week on there, it was really cool. So and then so they announced it again the year after that, and I was like, okay, that was really cool, so I want to go back. So I applied for the scholarship again, and I got it again, and then I went back. And it just pretty much got the ball really rolling for aviation right there, because I really like being in the atmosphere and everything. I learned a lot about the program, about flying, about just kind of like, they taught a little bit about the Navy itself, which was really cool. And a lot of people there, they're just like, the staff there is pretty much just like, they'll kind of like become really good friends. Like, they're just super nice. So if you know anyone who's interested, I would definitely recommend it, because it's a really great opportunity. So after doing my O-rides through CAP, you go up and they let you take the controls a little bit, and that's when you really start getting a really nice feel for it. So that's what happened with me. So then once I turned 16 or 17, I started taking flight lessons with Lou Toth, who's here, through Silver Patrol. So he got me. I took lessons with him this year through. I had like about 8 or 9 hours or so with him, and so that was just really great start getting into this. And then he told me about the EAA scholarship, and then I could apply for it. So I applied for it. I think it was like maybe November or December, and then I got a call back in March, I believe, and then they asked if I would come for an interview. So I was like, yeah, sure, I'll go. So then came here, did the interview, and then here I am. So that's pretty much it.
Well, I wound up just getting a meeting of, our 20% that do all the work here. And we met right here in the room and explained what it was. And of course, we may have sent a link by that time to the webinar, I'm not even sure. But, it's tough to volunteer, and then when you go in like the Navy, like I was, the guy that volunteers is the last one to take a step backwards. So you always wanted to be ready to go backwards when they're asking for volunteers. But Ralph just says, I'll do it. I said, I want to coordinate. I'm not leaving until we do, and I'm not doing it. And then Ralph just says, I'll do it. And then Bill Diaz and Craig Spoke says, well, I can help. And Mark was there, yeah, I can help. And I said, well, we're good to go. And we formulated just how we're going to approach this. And of course, the initial phase, the EA wasn't quite up to speed. But they are now. And money's on the way. And congratulations, Nick. Welcome aboard. Take over.
Okay, I'm humbled and honored to be here to talk about this award and give the award. I just want to start with just a few minutes of what got us here and give thanks to a few more names here to make sure we cover most everybody that was helpful. And then we'll give the actual scholarship to Nick and give him a few other little goodies, a little goodie box from the chapter here, and then wrap things up. So that's the plan. Burgers are cooking, and we'll be moving in that direction afterwards. People I want to thank here, first of all, my wife Paula, sitting right over there. Raise your hand, Paula. Really the one that got me off my butt. I'm 2 years retired. I was getting antsy in retirement, and she said, you need to get out of the house. And I said, I need a project, and so here I am. I picked this up. She's also been my sounding board on any of the ideas that I was throwing around as this was going on, and she's a great editor too when I've been trying to write little newsletters to pass back and forth to the candidates here. The Ray Foundation, which John already touched on, let me pass this around. So none of us would be standing here today if it wasn't for this guy right here, World War II B-17 pilot James Ray with his co-pilot and navigator. And this is him later in life. Just go ahead and pass that around. This is the man behind the money. And did very well for himself in life, formed a foundation, and his foundation was all aimed at STEM causes, anything to do with science, technology, engineering, math, and especially aviation related. His whole deal was he thought his training as a pilot really got him headed toward success in life, and he thought he would use that tool for as many other people as he could. So he has literally donated millions of dollars through the years to a lot of different causes. There's a complete 4-year high school on Lakeland, Florida airport that is a completely aviation oriented. If you go to Oshkosh, Wisconsin, there's summer camps there where teenagers go for a couple of weeks and just embed themselves in aviation. And then recently now these big monster scholarships. So $1 million a year to EAA, and that's about $110,000 scholarships like what we're giving out today. This is of a scale that we've never seen before. And like John said, this is sorely needed right now. So he's really the man there. I can't thank Bill Diaz in the yellow shirt and Craig Spoke enough, my two partners that have been extremely helpful along the way. I don't think either of these people are here, but the Milton Civil Air Patrol Cadet Commander, Lieutenant Colonel Bill Kelly, retired old F-4 pilot from Vietnam. Didn't happen to stop by, did you? No. And Mia Otteson, the Civil Air Patrol Commander, Cadet Group Commander from Pensacola. They were very helpful in the beginning, giving us names, getting us started. And then Chris Hornady and Terry Latino. Excuse me. Everybody hear me okay over the air conditioner?
Yeah.
All right. I think we need it for some fresh air, so I'll just keep yelling. Those two guys running our Young Eagles program, they've been very helpful at getting people filled in there. Excuse me. Nick was nice enough to mention Lou Toth right here, so Lou, thanks for getting him started. I have personally flown with Nick here twice, so let me give you a little insight here. So the first time was last month. I gave Nick his Young Eagle flight right out here in our rally, and it was a pretty bumpy, gusty day, and we flew around the bay, and Nick held the airplane upright. We didn't flip over, we didn't hit the water or nothing, so but a little more specific was a week or two later, I decided to do a little early celebration, and I invited Nick and his parents for a little $100 hamburger run So I took the Comanche over to Milton. I picked him up on the very night before Easter Sunday, and we flew to Destin. And we had a real nice dinner at Destin. We waited till dark, and we flew back along the beach in the dark there and tried to show them some of the best of the VFR flying around the area here. Anyway, on the way home, Nick flew the airplane, and I gave him some headings and altitudes, and he was within 100 feet and 10 degrees of everything I told him to do. So, Lou, I think you've done a pretty good job starting them out.
It was all Nick. I don't have a clue what I was doing.
I mentioned a little incident that happened there. So, like I said, it was pretty bumpy on the flight over. It was smooth on the way back, but pretty bumpy. And we landed in Destin, or I landed in Destin, and kind of dropped it in like I have a tendency to do there. And Nick's parents, by the way, Nick's parents would be sitting here right now. His mother had an allergic reaction on the way over, and she's in a clinic somewhere. We hope they show up at some point in time, but they were planning to be here, and they were off way late on the way over here. But in any case, one of them was nice enough to say something like, "Good landing." Nick and I flew with it, but Nick, being the young aviator like he is, he looks over and he says, "Hey, Ralph, do Comanches always land this hard?"
Yeah, they do.
It really wasn't the airplane's fault. It wasn't the pilot's fault. It was the ass fault. I'm doing my best to give him a little input here. Anyway, Christian Kidder, who's not able to be here today, his flight school made a lot of good inputs along the way. Carrie Hall, the front desk manager there, and the other candidates. Bill and Craig would agree that we were just really floored by the quality of candidates that we had, especially the ones that sat and interviewed. They all came well prepared. They all spoke well for themselves. To give us a great feeling about the quality of teenagers in the Pensacola area. 16 to 19 years old is the age bracket that we were looking at here, just to remind you. So to sum up the process of getting us here, it was rewarding. Hey, we're attacking the pilot shortage directly by one here. It was heartwarming. We had a 12-year-old try to apply for the scholarship, and we had a 37-year-old try to apply for the scholarship. We had a pretty good range there, and we just had to tell them about the age limits there, but pretty cool. It was very encouraging with the sharp candidates, and it was even funny at times. When we did the interviews, which we conducted right here, we tried to keep it as light as we could. Hey, we're dealing with teenagers, we don't want to beat them to death. And we each had our questions, we treated them pretty nice. And the guy who wins the best question was Bill right over there. Right about in the middle of the interview, we're taking turns asking them questions, and Bill asked each one of the candidates, so, if you win this scholarship, you're going to be coming to our meetings and hanging out with a bunch of 70-year-olds. What do you think about that? How do you feel about that? And it was great to hear all the different answers there. So he put it right to them. So before, let me just wrap up the intro by just saying, here's the concluding sentence from Nick's essay. All of the candidates had to submit an essay, and this went on to EAA, and it was something that we looked at as well. And this really sums it up here. Nick knows how to get to the point. He says, in short, I believe I was born to fly. All right, so Nick, so the EAA is like the military, a giant organization. So believe it or not, your award is an email that we got in the mail there, and it says, congratulations, you got a $10,000 scholarship. That was unacceptable to this chapter. We're going to do a little better than that. And the other part of it is the money. So like any college scholarship, I guess, the money doesn't go straight to the person receiving it. In this case, it gets electronically deposited into our chapter account, and then I will write checks to the flight school. So poor Nick, he's heard that he's getting a $10,000 scholarship, but he'll never see the money. He'll never see it show up for flight lessons. We hope. We're counting on that. But so by God, we thought we'd solve that problem. So Bill and Craig, if you would help me out here. We're going to give you a check. Something to take home with you here and put on your wall. The check just really kind of says everything there is about this scholarship. In the upper left there, it comes from EAA 485, the Panhandle Pelicans. That's us. Go to Nick Hanssen in the amount of $10,000 on today's date, and it's for his private pilot flight training. And it really comes from the EAA Ray Aviation Scholarship Fund. So it has no check number on it, so don't be trying to take it to the bank now. It's only for you to take home. It's something for you to be proud of. So congratulations. You guys will be patient. We're going to take a few pictures around the check here. How about you two guys in the end and Nick in the back? Good. And so we get it over there. Feel free, anybody else that wants to take pictures, have at it. All right, then Craig, if you move all the way over there. And I'll jump in as well, and then we'll get John and Mark. Great, you too, Bill. With ever increasing size. Going to 2 rows here shortly. Good. And now, John and Mark, if you would come up and let's get in here too. You just hold this right in front of you there. Just form around. All right. Just want to make sure everybody who was involved gets their due. Okay, now everybody up front for the picture. Group shot. We don't want to bust it up here. And I think in the future, some future time, let's get your parents and get a picture of them and you and Sam.
Well, we could have done that.
All right, now, for the next trip. Now, the EAA, again, being a military-type organization, has a contract here, and this is, they say it's really a non-binding legal contract, but this is the Ray Scholarship training contract, and it gets signed by 4 people. The key player, the recipient here, Nick, me as a coordinator, the flight school. Christian was not available today, so I'll track down his signature later. And then Nick's parents, who are again in a medical clinic somewhere on the way here. So the best laid plans, we got 2 out of 4 here today, and I'll catch the other 2 later. But let me just hit a few of the highlights of this training agreement. Expectation for Nick, fly at least twice a week, subject to weather and instructor availability. We're asking to schedule 3 to get 2. We all know about weather. Today was a good example. And so he's really gonna hit it hard. And Nick is in a good situation where he works with his father, who runs a business, and his dad promised us when we interviewed the parents as well that he would be real cooperative and flexible with Nick's flying schedule. Nick is expected to solo within 3 months, complete his written within 6 months, and finish the whole program under 12 months. The money runs out at the end of 12 months, so that's his main motivator there to keep it going. He's supposed to participate and help volunteer with the chapter 2 hours a month, so we're going to expect him at the meetings as much as possible. The only excuse for missing a meeting will be if you're taking a flying lesson.
Can he cook?
And we will find other tasks. Nick has already voiced an interest in our chapter build project. We got a CH-4 Thatcher being built out at Shields Airport, and so just one tiny example of the way that we can put a little influence on Nick. And I'm going to finish up just saying a word or 2 about mentoring here, but that's some of Nick's job. His parents, they're going to allow and encourage him and contact myself if they got any questions or concerns about how the flying is going. Flight school, right next door here, their job is to keep the scholar on the timeline and provide airplanes and instructors in a timely manner and let them know when they're canceling out. And then lastly, for the chapter, we are in now. So 3 of us, 4 or 5 of us have been doing most of the work so far. Now I'm going to be asking help from the rest of you, and it talks about paying the bills, I'll take care of that. Doing the reports, I'll take care of that. But mentoring the student on the way, and I'll give you some ideas on that. So that's a contract. So for now, 2 of us are going to be able to sign it. So Nick, I believe I have a pen that works here. And tell you what, we want to do this. That out. Even if you just get a picture of us thinking that. It's going to go to the front. That'll work. That'll work in the dais here. Yes,
He's
got the overhead. Angle is right.
Thank you very much. And for the chapter, I will sign. All right, so that takes care of the business part of it for the EAA. Now then, check one out. Should we know this anything here? Okay, lastly, thought we needed to give them a few little toys from the chapter here, so let's see what we got here.
Quality work there.
First thing, your name is Nick Hanssen, but you just picked up a new name, Ray Scholar. This is your in-basket now, and we will have this in the clubhouse right here for you. And this will be just a central dumping spot for anybody in the chapter who wants to leave a little something they think it'd be cool for Nick to see or read, or anything that fits within the size of this here. For your information, we checked early on, but Nick already has a flight bag, he's got a headset, he's got a plotter, he's got a computer, so he has the essentials to get his training going. But we're gonna look and brainstorm along the way for any little things that we as a chapter can donate and help his little training experience on the way. All right, let's see what's in here. Oh, there's a few things going in. Okay, now, Nick, I know you're a millennial kind of guy, and your world is electronic. This is called a magazine. And this is what us old guys do to get our information. And these are the latest issues of EAA, AOPA, and Flying Magazine. So here's a little bit of basic. Feel free to throw those away once you get out of sight of us. And then here's the very last letter that we got yesterday, a copy of it from the EAA that says you are the man and you got the money. So that's all we got. That was the award for the EAA there. This is a news release that we're going to be sending out. Hopefully you'll see it in the newspaper the next couple of days here. It should be titled the Ray Aviation Scholarship presented to local teenager. And this is your very own copy there, so you can keep it. And then this is a bonus that I wish I could say we were doing as a chapter, but hey, this just kind of happened. Those of you who were at Sun and Fun on April 3rd, Lightspeed Aviation, they build really cool headsets for flying. And Lightspeed has a foundation as well where they donate to good causes. And they saw that this scholarship program was going on, and they said, what could we do to help out here? And they decided to give a brand new Lightspeed $850 noise canceling headset to every single Ray Scholarship winner once they solo and pass around. And that is all that's in the goodie box here, Nick. So that's for you. You can have a seat. Thank you. Congratulations.
You played right into that one.
So in the way of wrapping up, I just want to finish with one word and one thought here, and that's mentoring. That's what we do now at Chapter 485. So members of 485, what's mentoring? Instructing, setting a good example, sharing experiences from your life that could help this young man, that sort of thing. It's not telling Nick exactly how to do a stall series in a Piper Cherokee or exactly how to do a steep turn. Leave that to the flight school, please. We don't want to put conflicting ideas in his mind there. Make sure and let the flight school do their job. But if you've got other cool experiences, giving them a ride in one of their unique airplanes, being a pub or a home builder or whatever. Those are the kind of things that we can all offer to keep them pumped up. We all know that there's times that are challenging when we're learning to fly. There's days that don't go so well, and boy, if we could be there to help lift them, keep them motivated, keep them going, that's what we hope to do. Show them the fun and joy of aviation. And with that, that's all I have to present. John?
Let's eat.